Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Premier, and it relates to the resignation of his Minister of Economic Development. Speaker, surely there can't be a bigger blow to this Premier and his government than to have the Minister responsible for Ontario's economic recovery abandon his post at a time of serious economic disaster in this province. Can the Premier help us understand this? How is it that his senior minister responsible for economic development feels that he can do more good for the province of Ontario and economic development by taking a job with the City of Toronto than the head of economic development for the province of Ontario?
Premier.
Speaker, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the issue, and I want to begin by simply, on behalf of all Ontarians, thanking Minister Bryant for 10 years of unrelenting commitment to public service in the province of Ontario. Speaker, I am sorry to lose Minister Bryant, but here's the upside. The most significant urban economic centre in the province of Ontario by far, and indeed by the country by far, is the City of Toronto. If Minister Bryant can help get the City of Toronto firing on all cylinders, that will not only benefit the people of Toronto, it will benefit the people of Ontario and indeed, Speaker, the people of Canada.
Supplementary.
Speaker, there can be no clearer evidence that confusion reigns at the very top of this government and that the Premier has lost the confidence not only of this minister but of the rest of his ministers and his caucus. The senior ministers charged with leading this province's economic recovery walks out, and he leaves at the start of a crucial week of negotiations when billions of dollars of government loans are on the table with the auto sector. And he leaves saying, and I quote, "I'm excited to begin new duties with Invest Toronto," end of quote. Speaker, there's much more to this than Mr. Bryant being excited about a job in Toronto. Will the Premier admit that the real reason for his minister's resignation is that he has lost the confidence of this Premier and that there are many other ministers who have also lost confidence in this Premier's leadership?
Again, Speaker, I want to congratulate Minister Bryant for the work that he's done for Ontario families and the fight that he's fought on behalf of Ontario businesses. Speaker,
fourth place votes is Frank going to get?
Speaker, when it comes to the auto issue in particular, I know that all members of this legislature remain very committed to doing what we can and playing our part as part of a triumvirate of Washington being actively involved in this, Ottawa, the federal government here, as well as Queen's Park, to see what we can do together to put the sector, but particularly GM at this point in time, on a solid footing. I take the opportunity as well to congratulate CAW members who, for the third time, Speaker, if you can believe it, the third time in the past year, have negotiated a new agreement with their employer, GM. I think they've come to the table in a meaningful way, and now it's time for the government to see that what we can do to put GM on a solid footing.
Here. Supplementary.
Well, Speaker, here is what we've heard and what the media is beginning to report, that the next minister to leave is the Minister of Energy and Infrastructure, and that many backbenchers have lost confidence in this Premier's leadership. What apparently has undermined the confidence of the entire Liberal caucus is the growing arrogance on the part of this Premier to not listen either to them or the constituents who are warning this government against the imposition of billions of dollars of new taxes under the HST. Will the Premier acknowledge that he is facing stiff opposition for his proposed HST from his ministers, his caucus, and in fact all Ontarians, and will he agree today to back down on that untimely imposition of $2.5 billion of additional taxes on the people of Ontario?
Speaker, my honourable colleague will know that many, if not all, in his caucus are in fact fully supportive of the direction that we are pursuing in our budget. He understands that it's important that we find a way to tackle this challenge. I'm reminded, Speaker, of something that that great Canadian economist John Kenneth Galbraith, advisor to at least a half a dozen American presidents, once said. He said, leadership demands that we unequivocally confront the great anxiety of our age. The great anxiety of our age is economic in nature, Speaker. Our budget is determined to confront that unequivocally in a way that may not be easy, but in a way that is absolutely essential, Speaker. And we are convinced that not only businesses, but Ontario families believe that.
New question, the member from Newmarket, Aurora.
The great anxiety of our age, to the Premier, the great anxiety of our age is the lack of leadership on the part of this government during the worst economic recession in the history of this province. That is the anxiety. I stood in this place months before the last budget and called on the Premier not to proceed with his musing about an HST. He chose not to listen. And now he is hearing, not only from his caucus, but his ministers and people from across the province about the harm that HST will do. I'm asking the Premier one more time, in the face of all of the evidence, of all of the pain that this tax will impose on Ontarians, individual families, as well as businesses, will he agree? Will he agree to stop this nonsense in its track and withhold the implementation of the HST? Will he do that?
Speaker, we will not shrink from leading. I know that my honourable colleague is afraid of this particular policy. I believe that in his heart of hearts he knows that it is the right policy for Ontario, Speaker. He does. It's time for us to do what is necessary to ensure that we level the playing field for Ontario businesses. 130 other countries and 4 other provinces already give their businesses an advantage over ours, Speaker. It's time for us to ensure that we support our businesses, but especially our struggling manufacturers, where we have lost so many jobs, Speaker, to put them on a solid footing going forward, to ensure that they are more competitive, that can create more jobs for us today and for our children tomorrow, Speaker. It demands that we do something today that is not necessarily easy, but my honourable colleague knows it is the right thing to do for Ontarians today and for tomorrow.
Supplementary.
Speaker, the Premier need not put any words in my mouth. It is not the right thing to do, and the evidence is mounting every day. And if he doesn't want to listen to us, what he should do is listen to his backbenchers and his ministers, who we understand have told him it is the wrong thing to do at the wrong time. What he needs to do is to listen to the people of Ontario. I'm going to ask the Premier this one question. Does he know what the impact of HST will be to common fees for people living in condominiums in this province? Will he answer that question? Does he know that?
My honourable colleagues sitting opposite have several times made reference to Roger Martin, a reputable authority when it comes to these things. And this is what he had to say about our recent budget, Speaker, and I quote, he said, "The recent Ontario budget represents an exceedingly important step forward with its bold tax measures that will benefit all Ontarians. Businesses, consumers and families should be delighted with the leadership this government has shown." He concludes, Speaker, by saying, "Many argue that governments can't be bold, can't do the right thing because it isn't politically saleable. This government, with this budget, shows that to be the view of defeatists."
Yep.
Congratulations, Speaker. Speaker, we're moving forward. We know it's the right thing to do, and we're doing it in a way, Speaker, that protects Ontario families, 93% of whom are getting a permanent tax cut.
Hear, hear. Final supplementary.
Well, Speaker, it is not the right thing to do, and the Premier can read as many articles as he likes. What I would ask him to do is to look into the face of the people of Ontario and tell them that he does not care how someone on a fixed income, how seniors in this province, how the unemployed are going to cope with the 13% tax on products and services, thousands of them, that have never been taxed before. The issue is this, Speaker. It is the wrong time in the history of this province when we are experiencing the most difficult economic times. People are losing their jobs, and this Premier has the gall to stand up and say a tax increase is the right thing to do. He's lost touch with the people of Ontario. And I'm asking him one more time, will he at least familiarize himself with what the impact will be on average Ontarians in this province of his HST?
Here.
Speaker, I think that with the passage of time, Ontarians have come to understand the values that inform our thinking and inspire our efforts. They know that during the course of the past 5-6 years now, We have devoted ourselves to improving the quality of education for all our kids.
Hear, hear.
We've devoted ourselves to improving the quality of health care for all our families.
Hear, hear.
We have made some remarkable progress in terms of protecting the quality of our natural environment, Speaker.
Leading the way.
And we worked hard as well to improve business opportunities to ensure that we have jobs for our kids in the province of Ontario, Speaker. I think they have a good understanding of where we're coming from and the values that inform us. So I welcome this debate, Speaker. I believe it is just beginning. My friends opposite say that we should freeze, that we should do nothing, that we should wait for this recession to roll by, that everything will come back to the way it was. We don't believe that, Speaker. We think the time's call for leadership. It's not an easy thing to do. Ontarians know what we want to do for them, and we'll keep doing it.
Hear, hear.